Welcome back to the Webby O'Neill channel. Thanks for joining us for today's video. There's loads of MUFC chat to get through today, including Gary Neville's comments surrounding Erik ten Hag's future on Monday Night Football. Plus, we've got updates from Erik ten Hag's press conference. Get involved in today's chat with your own opinions, and we'll try and discuss some of your comments throughout today's video. First of all, what did you make of Gary Neville's comments last night on Monday Night Football? Well,
he makes a comment about the Ratcliffe and Ineos already making a decision. Well, to be honest with you, it's caused a big stir. And at the end of the day, I would have preferred Gary Neville to come out with his opinion on what he thinks Erik ten Hag, should he stay or should he go? Instead of just putting it on, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, I believe, would have already made the decision on Erik ten Hag. That's not what we want to hear, Gary. We want to hear you coming out with your honest opinions on what you think.
Yeah, what he actually did say is, I suspect Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Dave Brailsford already know whether Erik ten Hag will be the manager next season. I can't believe they're going to wait until May to make that decision and then leave themselves short. For me, I suspect they've already come to the conclusion already. It may already be that it's Champions League or not, and they will stick with that decision.
I suspect, that's all he's saying.
Do you think he actually knows more than he suspects?
Listen, the problem, what you've got, Gary Neville doesn't give his own personal opinion on what he thinks should Erik ten Hag stay or go. And that's the problem. He's got skin in the game, right? He's got skin in the game. He's part of the process of what's going to be going on in the infrastructure in and around Manchester, rebuilding a new stadium, if that's what's going to happen. So he's got skin in the game. He's got skin in the game with Sky going forward. That's the problem, okay? I don't see Gary Neville coming out with his own honest opinion on Erik ten Hag, and I've not seen that. That is a big problem, but it's tricky. I'll give him that.
Well, if he's not giving the opinion that you would like...
people out there want to hear it as well.
Of course, and I want to know all your opinions out there, so get it in the chat and we'll try and discuss it. But what's your overall opinion to the subject on ten Hag's future?
Well, I look at it, I go back to Chelsea, and at the end of the day, they had a structure under Abramovich, right? In the background, everything was in place. And when you look at it, it's the manager what goes. If I want to win, that was Abramovich. Sir Jim Ratcliffe's the same. Abramovich, I want to win. And if you don't win that, you're out. Simple as that. Not the players, the manager. Well, at the end of the day, we haven't got a structure here at Manchester United, right? Ineos, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Brailsford, all that. The building and the working on the structure.
But Abramovich's structure also was more of... Obviously, if the manager wasn't getting the results, it was more or less which manager was flavour of the month, so to speak, in the footballing world, and then they'd just go out and get him, and then hopefully it would work for him. Sometimes it did, and sometimes it didn't. But don't Manchester United need a little bit more than that and more stability with a manager here for, let's say, at least a 3 to 5 year period?
At the moment, right, the manager, in my opinion, he has to stay. And I think that's the way they're going to work it, because the structure isn't in place to keep swapping and changing managers. That's how I look at it, right? And they're going to work towards that, but that will take time. Chelsea took time to work. But what I'm trying to say is, with Abramovich, everything was in place, and he demanded, we've got everything here to win. So why haven't we won? Well, the reason why we haven't won, not because of the players, but because of the way the manager is implementing game time and everything like that. So out you go. Well, at the moment, we haven't got the structure, a winning structure, okay? It's on the pitch. We see it. Erik ten Hag's not got the winning structure. He's not got it working right. In the back room, it's not working right. We haven't got,
Sorry, what is it you actually mean there? Just repeat yourself, because I only heard a little snippet of what you said, and it sort of sent me head west. So you're talking about Erik ten Hag. You don't think he's got the structure right in terms of players on the field? Not
at the minute. We haven't got the right people. Listen, the structure, what we've got set up, has been in disarray under Woodward. So the players and everything, right, aren't right. He wants to bring in players. Ineos want to bring in players, but they need the backroom staff in as well to help Erik ten Hag, right? That's not going to happen yet. Everyone's not in place. It will take time, and that's why I believe Erik ten Hag will stay. I just don't see him moving on.
Right, so you're saying that you don't see him making that decision to axe him, so to speak, until we actually get that structure in behind the scenes of a sporting director, fingers crossed it's Dan Ashworth, and maybe another director of football. What would be the point in changing manager?
That's right. What would be the point? When they're in disarray, they've not got the right people in place yet. So at the moment, everything points to Erik ten Hag staying. And I think Gary Neville knows that, but won't come out with his own opinion on it in case it backfires.
What do you think Gary Neville's opinion is? Do you think Gary Neville's leaning more towards wanting Erik ten Hag to stay? Or do you think he thinks himself that United need a change in the dugout?
I look back on his comments and that, and he was talking about when we'd got beat, like against Bournemouth and things like that, and he was going, he's under big pressure, I fear for him, and everything else like that. He didn't come out with that last night. You know what I mean? He was like saying, I think the decision's already been made. You know, he should have turned around and said, well, I've always feared for Erik ten Hag. These results aren't right. We don't get a European place. This is what we need, European. That's what it is. That's what he's been saying. So at the end of the day, we're not going to get it. Out he goes. He's not saying that. He's now he's ignoring what he said before. I fear for Erik ten Hag. Didn't say that last night. He's quite happy, like, to give an opinion on the decision's already been made. Well, I think he knows what the decision has been. He's in their camp. He's talking to him. He's hearing things. That's how I look at it.
How else do you look at it? Is there any other angles you look at it and think,
Look, I look at it this way. Erik ten Hag has told you, he's working on the summer transfers. And I think Gary Neville knows that. He's heard them comments. You know, so that tells me he's working with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Brailsford and all that on what's going for the future. So when he's coming out saying, I'm working on summer transfers, Gary Neville's gone like that. He's in with them here. They're all working together. Well, they're working together on a structure. So to me, he's staying. And I think Gary Neville knows that, but he won't come out and say it.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, to have a successful plans, you need to be working 6, 12 months ahead.
Yes.
In any business, and especially in football. And it does sound as though Erik ten Hag is very much a part of these plans going forward, especially into the summer. It's just, for me, you know, we all talk about the recruitment, some of the signings that we've made that haven't hit the ground running, so to speak. And Erik ten Hag has been a part of that, let's face it, in some of the players he's brought to the club. So I'm still a little bit like on the fence here of whether he should have a big say in these plans or not, or whether we should see not big changes in the summer until we get a sporting director in and a director of football who will actually lead the actual charge on that and the selection process of players coming in.
Listen, the selection on the process of bringing in players in that, right, will not just be on the manager. Yeah. It'll be a team effort here. Yeah. Coaches, staff, scouts, you name it, the lot, and then they'll just assess it. They won't just have one pick. They'll go through it, and then they'll work on the best option from a financial point of view as well, what to bring in. But as I say, working on that and getting it right will take time, and getting the backroom staff, everything else like that, will take time. Ineos are working on getting the right people in place, but what they don't want, right, well, what they do want, they want to get rid of the deadwood. And that's what Erik ten Hag and Ineos and Brailsford are all working on. That's the first priority, getting rid of the deadwood. And I think that's a major part what Erik ten Hag's doing now. And then when Dan Ashworth comes in and anyone else what they need to get in the structure, then they'll work on a few transfers, bringing players in. But they need to assess what cash they've got and what deadwood they need to get out. And there's up to 14 players I could name. 14 players I could name what are in and around the squad, what I think they're working on to get rid of. They won't get rid of them all.
What did you make of his press conference? I actually felt, listening to him and actually looking at his body language, he actually looked confident.
I was laughing. The reason why I was laughing, and I agree with you on that point, his body language, everything, he was confident. I was shocked, really. Yeah. It's as though like, he didn't have a care in the world, you know. And he must have known about the discussion, what had gone on Sky Sports the night before through Gary Neville and all that. And it did not faze him whatsoever. He looked fresh. He looked rejuvenated. How that can be after a poor performance and a poor result against Fulham was beyond me. And that's why I was laughing. And it sort of like perked me up, as if to say, I'm with you here, Erik. Come on. You know, forget all the hate. Forget everything what's piling on you. You know, it's Man United. It's an FA Cup game. I'm going to talk. We want to win. We have to win. That's what he was saying. But he was said in such a relaxed mood. It didn't fit the agenda of what's out there in the world against him.
Obviously, he's briefed before he goes into a press conference on certain things he may get asked. And Jamie Carragher on Monday Night Football, he did respond to his analysis on the previous game against Fulham. And he said on Carragher, first of all, some analysts are very objective in their comments. Very good advice. Some are very subjective. Jamie Carragher, from the first moment, has criticised, and now he wants to make his point on me.
Jamie Carragher...
Or on Manchester United.
Jamie Carragher goes in on United. Simple as. All day, every day, week in, week out, about Man United. He's in his element. Liverpool there, hoping to win the league. He's right behind him. And what's best? Man United are nowhere challenging, and he loves it, and he goes in every day. So at the end of the day, you know, it's water off a duck's back.
I did see some of that on Sky Sports, and I've seen a lot on social media, and like people calling, you know that when in the Fulham game, Varane passed the ball into midfield to Casemiro.
Yeah,
Casemiro tried some fancy flick to backheel it, and it basically got cut out by the Fulham players, and they went on the attack. But I've seen people calling it madness. How can you have so many players forward like Kobe Mainoo online with the centre forwards, etc.? But I thought we all want proactive football. Do we want like the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer football where we all sit back, counter-attacking? The David Moyes style at at West Ham? I mean, all Casemiro had to do in that situation was literally pass the ball into midfield. First time, open his right foot, into midfield, where if it was Lisandro Martinez instead of Harry Maguire, he would have stepped up into midfield to get the ball and carry the ball forward, and would have all been sat there cheering like, oh, what a great bit of football. It's not too much to ask from a professional footballer for first time to open his foot and pass it into midfield.
No, it's not.
You see it on Saturday, Sundays at your local park, players doing it all the time. It's just that move broke down because of one player's mistake.
Well, one
and
player...
it's getting highlighted for me, overanalyzed way too much when it's really not that difficult. It's simple.
Listen, every mistake United make will get analysed by all the haters and just piled on. And that's what we've got to live with. I've lived with it all my life, okay? One mistake, pile on. And you can see it many times in different games and no one says anything.
But the thing is, these players in the positions like Casemiro, they're the ones who have to take responsibility for that. Not Erik ten Hag to like sort of, like I say, over-analyse his tactics. Like, why has he got so many players up front? Like I say, if that ball then goes into midfield, everyone's like clapping like, oh, great bit of football.
Well, this is the thing. The players know they can get away with it because it's not them taking it. It's Erik ten Hag taking it. Erik ten Hag will probably look at that, look at many things and say, hey, you need to work on this. It must improve. And he keeps saying it. It must improve. But he knows he's not got the right people. But people are out there at this moment just piling in on anything. And Erik ten Hag's shown you today in a press conference how to throw everything off. He come on, bounced, smiling, happy, without a care in the world. He knows what's coming and he's working on it. And in the summer, he's got big changes. He's virtually saying that. I thought he was saying that today.
Yeah, I think with the style of football, don't get me wrong, at some points in the season, you have been left scratching your head in certain decisions he does make on the field and his man management, Erik ten Hag. But you've got to look at the tools he's got to use as well on the bench, etc.
That's right.
And there's certain situations in games, I totally agree, where they're just piling it on the manager, when really, we as fans, we really want to see a style of play and certain formations on the pitch in terms of passing movement, etc. And sometimes it's just that the players simply are just not good enough.
Look,
you know, instead of over-analysing things again, sometimes the players in certain situations, in how Erik ten Hag wants to play football, they're not good enough.
Right, they're not good enough. But at the same time, right, Erik ten Hag, in some circumstances, hasn't been good enough.
Yeah.
Okay? So we can't just, like, back one and not back the other, or criticise one and not criticise the other. Erik ten Hag, there's no style of play. There is no style of play. No. Okay, start at the beginning of the season to where we are now. I don't know the style of play.
I think
1 minute we're playing counter-attacking football. Next thing you know, we're playing defensive football. Next thing you know, we're playing this. All I see, this is my opinion, right, is moments in games of football. We can't command 90 minutes of football. Yeah. I don't see the style. So that is not all down to Erik ten Hag. That's down to the players. So it's a combination. And that's what's fueling, right, the debate out there about the manager, about the players. But let's get something straight here, right? Some of these players are out there throwing the manager under the bus, okay? They've done it time and time again, okay? There's people out there walking about and throwing the manager under the bus. Erik ten Hag has got a decision to make, right? And it's in the summer, and it's to get rid of these players. This is the final chance I see it. I don't see a style of play, right, from game to game. I just don't see it, right? And I think it's Erik ten Hag's incapable of getting a style of play with this squad of players.
Yeah, no,
that's how I see it.
Yeah, I do take that. I do take that as well, because even if you look at other teams, etc., you look at Unai Emery going in at Aston Villa, look at Ange over at Tottenham. No matter how many injuries they do have, whatever players they do come in, they might have a bit of a drop-off in quality than the first-team player who'd be chosen, but they still then play that style of play going forward. Whether they get beat, draw or win, they still play that style. So I do understand that fact, and it's something I do want to see change going forward. But, there is instances where you do see certain patterns here at Manchester United. But, again, we're all talking about we want 10, 14, 15, 20 players out the door. Why is that? It's because they're simply not good enough, a lot of them.
Well, the classic one today in Erik ten Hag's press conference, right? And a lot of people were going to come right in on this, and quite rightly so, right? Antony is his man, and he's not performed. But he's turned around today, right? There was questions about him. Is he in? Is he out?
I'm going to actually read it right off now.
Okay.
Yeah. Erik ten Hag said on Antony, "I know from the past he is unstoppable. No defender can stop him because he's one of the quickest in the first 10 yards. When he plays that game, I'm sure he will perform. He is resilient, and he is a character as well." Oh, he has character as well.
Well, everything he said about Antony there, pace, resilience, energy and all that, what he said, we've not seen it. We've just not seen it. He's his man, and he's standing by him, and quite rightly so. That's what managers do. But he talks about the past. He doesn't talk about now, what's been going on. He talks about he's had the pace, he's had the resilience, he's had the energy in the past. We're not seeing it, and he has to get him performing. I don't think he'll turn it around this season. I think in the pre-season, he's got to obviously change players, bring some in, get rid of a lot of players, but he's definitely keeping Antony for the future. So at the end of the day, he's got to get him working. Erik ten Hag staying, and he's keeping Antony. He knows what he's got in a player. We're just not seeing it. And how he's going to bring it out, I don't know. I don't know. Not with this squad of players. Okay, so something has to change for Antony to be able to do what Erik ten Hag has seen him do in the past. And I don't know where it's coming from. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with the squad in the summer and see if he can work Antony's magic.
You could look at it from another point of view. He's trying to keep some transfer fee, get a resale value on Antony, because I remember him coming out in press conferences, backing Harry Maguire as a captain, also backing Cristiano Ronaldo as a footballer, how important he is to the squad, etc. And the captaincy was soon took off Harry Maguire at the first opportunity. Also with Cristiano Ronaldo, we all know how that ended. So for me, I wouldn't go on one side or the other as to Antony's long-term future at Manchester United, judging off them comments. But I think it's all clear to see from every United fan who's been watching him week in, week out, that he's been simply just not good enough. And if he doesn't improve from now until the end of the season, when he does get an opportunity, because I think he will, I think the writing should be on the wall for him, and I think that should go for every single player in this squad, to be honest with you.
Well, that is a way to look at it, and I understand that view and that opinion, and lots of yous have it that way. But I look at it this way. What has a manager got to do? What does he do? Well, I'll tell you what he doesn't do. He doesn't do what Ralph Rangnick did. Slaughter players. Slaughter them. These ain't good enough. I'd get rid of a lot of them, right? You don't do that as a manager. He has no option but to back his players. He's in a tough position. He's hanging on, as the media say, to his job. He's fighting to keep United in a cup competition. He's fighting for United to get in the Champions League, which I don't believe he'll get. But what is a manager supposed to do? Come out and criticise players? He didn't come out and criticise Ronaldo. You don't do that. You try and encourage him. He has to do that. And then a manager speaks and he cajoles and he puts an arm round players in training and in their own privacy, right? But to come out and criticise players like Antony, right, it's not the thing to do. Don't do what Ralph Rangnick did. Alienated every player in that squad. No one helps him. So he was never getting the job because of the hatred and the antagonism he caused in the squad. I'm just giving an example. There are many other managers what have gone on and slaughtered players after a game, and they've just ended up going, because at the end of the day, we always seem to see, and I started with the word Chelsea, and Chelsea was a prime example, we always seem to see player power tends to win over managers.
So do you think he took the right stance then over Jadon Sancho in coming out publicly saying what he did after that Arsenal game?
That's because Jadon Sancho, he answered a question, okay? He didn't slaughter him. He just said he wasn't doing it in training. Well, what's that? To me, it's nothing.
I'm asking you that question only because there might be some people out there who are player FC and support Jadon Sancho more than the manager or even the club at some point. So I just wanted to know your opinion on that.
Well, the manager was asked a question. He came out and he didn't slag the player down. He didn't call him. He just said he's not in the squad because he's not been doing it good enough training at the moment. Yeah, well, easy. Jadon Sancho didn't have to publicly think. He could have just said, well, I'm doing all right. What's the problem?
Yeah, Pochettino does it all the time in his press conferences, has done all season, but regarding certain Chelsea players, but the media don't pick up on it, don't give it any air coverage. But when it's obviously Erik ten Hag and certain players in this squad who have been in this squad for a long time, they have the mentality to throw the toys out the pram.
Well, people tend to forget with Sancho, Erik ten Hag spent 12 months bending over backwards with him.
Yeah, does Pep Guardiola not do it? Calvin Phillips said a couple of things about Jack Grealish recently in terms of performance, having to get back into the team.
Well, this is it. You know, you could go on and on and on.
Certain rules and certain standards for one manager, but not for the other.
But everything's different when it comes to Man United, with managers, with players and everything else like that. At the end of the day, Erik ten Hag is here and he's working on the summer transfers. So don't forget that.
Some good news, positive news, I guess, considering what we was thinking yesterday when we discussed Casemiro. It looks like he will be available for the Nottingham Forest game. So do you expect him to start? I do. Yeah,
I expect him to start then if he's in him and Manu. He did talk about Manu today as well, bringing him off. He has to look after him and he has to look after the young players, and the young players will all get. But Casemiro, see, I mentioned the other week Casemiro and Manu working there. It has to be worked on. You know, it's going to take time. And to be honest with you, I look at that, right, and Manu and Casemiro, it's just when one goes, one doesn't tend to sit there. You know, Casemiro likes to go forward, and I think they've just got to tweak on that and work a lot harder. Listen, Manu's only just started playing football. It's going to take time, and I did say Manu needs time.
Yeah, Manu needs time. He's top quality, and I think he's going to be an absolute star for this football club. He looks so grounded as well, which is the most important thing. But I think with Casemiro, I don't think he's got time at Manchester United. I think discussions will be had towards the end of the season, if they've not already, about his long-term future, along with Rafael Varane. Because when I'm looking at this Manchester United midfield, as much as I love Casemiro, you've all heard my thoughts on Casemiro about him being a top-class player. But I just don't think he's got that legs and the energy that's needed to work around Kobbie Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo isn't the most athletic player in terms of over the first 10 to 15 yards to try and get in players' faces to put tackles in. So I think Kobbie Mainoo needs that type of player around him to get the ball back, put the tackles in, and to give it to Kobbie, simple, so he can then go and do his magic further up the field, because that's where I think Mainoo is more effective going forward. I think he's a real box-to-box type of player who's obviously got the skill to create things going forward, obviously can put a tackle in as well. But I just feel like we need that one with legs, who's that Casemiro type of player, but who's like 5 or 10 years younger, kind of thing.
You remind me of someone who needs to pick a team for next year. Well, we need this player, we need this player.
I've got a wish
we
list.
Need that. No,
I've got a wish list.
I think everyone out there's got a wish
Yeah,
list.
of course.
I mean, if we could, I could ask you what player for next year, and you'd say this player and why, and this player. Like, oh, I think we've all got a wish list. Casemiro, right, is there. He'll do a job, right, but at the end of the day, he does need help. But when you look at the squad and you look at Eriksen and you look at Maguire, you just look at them all and you say they need help.
From a personal point of view, I'd love to see Casemiro still stay here for another year, but us also recruit another like midfielder, defensive midfielder, etc.
I think
because of his experience, and I think he's well liked within that squad. And I think when he does go out onto the pitch, you know, other players around him when they're walking down that tunnel do actually probably pinch themselves, especially the younger ones, thinking, got Casemiro here in the starting 11 playing alongside me. And I think that's invaluable going forward. But I do think we need to bring in a replacement, because you don't want to lose too much. Well, you know, you look at some of the players who could be leaving this year, Varane, you know, Maguire, etc. You know, there's a few players there who have actually got international experience, do you know what I mean? And you can't lose too much of that and let a lot of the younger ones come into the squad.
And that's why I believe Casemiro, my opinion, will stay.
Yeah.
There is only so many players we're going to be able to bring in. We are not going to get bucket loads of money from the people we need to move on.
Yeah.
If anybody thinks you're going to get any money for Jadon Sancho, then you're not. I just don't know where you're thinking. If anyone thinks anyone's going to get any money for Donny van der Beek, them two players are getting slaughtered.
They're getting loan deals more than likely. I think if
No, but we're not. I'm on about money. So there's two players cost a lot of money. We're not getting anything back.
Yeah, but you look at the contracts, the money that they're on, the savings that they could make if they do go on loan again for next season, and teams then pay that.
We're on about transfers here. We need money for transfers. Okay, loaning players out, right? That's not having 40, 50 million pound in your kitty to go out and get a transfer. And that's the problem with a lot of these players. We're going to move on. We're not going to get good money for them. So, unfortunately, that's the summer transfer. Get some money in, and then hopefully we have some money from the kitty and get a few. We're not going to get all our summer signings. And I did say the other day that we'll get 2, maximum 3 top players. That's it.
You're going low. They're setting the bar low here for the summer transfer window.
Yeah, because I think they're on a cost-cutting exercise, Ineos. I think they'll clear things that people out, and it'll take time, work it together, get the structure right and all that, and then also see that exactly what they want, Ineos. They want to see a structure, a style of play, the Man United way, and a way of playing football to challenge and win things. So Erik ten Hag, they need to see him in proper working order with the right structure behind him next year.
Yeah, no, I do get that, and I don't think we're going to get our real top targets or players we definitely need until we do get them positions filled, like with Dan Ashworth, also a new director of football, which I think it's Josh Wilcox that's being mentioned quite a lot more than others out there. Could John Murtough possibly stay? You know, that's another one for you, another curveball. Could he possibly stay and work under Dan Ashworth? You know, I'd like to think not, but I've seen stranger things in football.
Well, listen, there was a quote today by Erik ten Hag in his press conference, right? And if Murtough stayed, you have to say some days you have bad days. Well, it'll be a bad day if John Murtough ended up staying at Man United. He, to me, does not fit in the ethos of the way Ineos work. Absolutely not. The man's just come through the ranks with no talent whatsoever, and I just don't know how he's jumped in that position. And everything tells you, and you can see it with your own eyes, you know what he's done in the past with buying players, trying to recruit players. It's just ineffective, absolutely ineffective. And the Antony transfer sums him up.
Yeah.
The cost of Antony.
Yeah, he was involved with it, wasn't it? Was it?
Well, no one would have any complaints over Antony, as big as they are having, if we'd have got him for what the initial fee should have been. So it's the size of the fee, right? And people like Murtough and that allowed it to happen.
No, of course. I think...
So it'd be a bad day if he stayed.
Yeah, I'm just trying to work out who was involved in that. I think Matt Judge had already left. And then they got... Tom Keane.
Listen, they all
Michael Keane's brother, who they brought in the summer transfer window when them transfers were taking place. And I think he was helping out to negotiate the deals at the time. I'm pretty sure that was the summer.
They all knew it was going on, right?
Yeah, no, of course.
They all knew it was going on and they all sat there.
And then you brought in Matt Hargreaves as well, who is from Adidas. He's currently the chief negotiating officer. Now, does he stay at Manchester United? Ineos might have someone in mind who they think will be better off negotiating transfer fees than this fella, Matt Hargreaves.
We'll know in the summer.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, I think we'll finish it up there because I feel like we could just probably talk all day and it might come over as a bit of a waffle to you. But yeah, thanks for joining us. If you've enjoyed the video, help support the channel and leave a like on it. And we'll be back tomorrow, straight after the Forest game. Straight after the Forest game. What score did you say? 1-0?
1-0.
Yeah, I'm going 1-0 as well. So I look forward to seeing you straight after the game. And you enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.